So Warner Brothers has announced that the gay relationship in The Secrets of Dumbledore between Dumbledore and, honestly, I'm sorry, I don't remember that. It's Mads Mikkelsen's character. There's dialogue that kind of establishes that there was a romantic relationship between the two of them, or there were at least feelings between the two of them. And they've cut that for the China release of the movie. So the reason that I wanted to talk about this online in particular, there's a lot of people that are coming down on Warner Brothers for not releasing the movie or letting the movie go through without those cuts. They're essentially outraged because why would you make these cuts? This shows that Hollywood is not actually about representation. And I wanted to do this video essentially to, as I've said multiple times, the biggest problem in the film industry is China's encroaching level of influence around the entire world. Their plan by 2050 is to be the most influential film production hub of the entire world, in the entire world. This is another example of that. I think that to say this is only an issue, the most important issue here is that Warner Brothers and Hollywood doesn't actually care about representation, is missing the actual problem that's going on. The actual problem, whenever it comes to their economy, they are like heaven whenever it comes to the amount of money that any movie could make. The thought for years and years and years was that if America releases their movies, if we release Disney into China, then it's going to democratize China. It's going to make China more like America. It's going to make them more accepting. It's going to make them more loving. When in fact, it turned out that China is actually the much more stubborn one. And if it crosses the line in terms of questioning authority, questioning the Chinese government, questioning the values that China purports as the values of the Chinese government, then it doesn't work. Where it's not going to come in, it's not going to make any money. We're probably going to ban a whole bunch of other stuff that you want to send here. They censor religion, they censor LGBTQ, they censor anything that does not fit into what is their view of truth, and that is really everything that upholds the CCP. So, the point that I'm just trying to make with this is if you see this story about them cutting the scene and you think immediately we need to be mad at Warner Brothers, we need to be mad at Hollywood because they are not upstanding the principle of diversity and acceptance and representation, I would say there is actually a much bigger point here and a much bigger problem that is going to continue to be a growing problem, and that is that there is a reliance on the Chinese market that is not coinciding with the values of America. You're not going to be able to release your movies in China. The movie wouldn't have been released anyway. This has been happening for years. Here's really the point that comes down to it, and kind of more the point that this channel is about. Hollywood pretends to be about diversity issues. They pretend to be about all of the virtue signaling stuff. They don't actually believe really in anything. They believe in money. That was why that Ricky Gervais joke was so funny whenever he said, you all pretend to be woke, but if ISIS opened a streaming service, you all would be calling your agent. They don't actually believe in any of this. It's lip service. It's all very well dressed up lip service. Maybe not as well dressed up these days. I understand seeing the outrage at Warner Brothers, but the point of the matter is Hollywood is not about representation or diversity. They're not really about anything but the bottom line. If they feel threatened about anything, then they're not going to move on it. Warner Brothers did not cut it because they're against representation. They cut it because there's no way the movie would have been allowed to go into China if not for removing that scene. That's kind of the way it goes. In terms of where you want to direct your outrage, I think we don't give enough outrage over to China. I feel like that is probably the place that we should be directing it. But in terms of, oh, well, if you think this is new and everything, this has been happening for decades. Since the mid-90s, China's been censoring our movies. So what are your thoughts on the situation? Leave thoughts and comments below. Also, please like and share the video. And if you like these videos, be sure to subscribe to 5 Minute Critic for future updates on reviews and movie news.